Welcome back to Theresa.is.Dead. My name is Theresa and I'm very much alive. And if you're new here, welcome. I have an awful garbage mouth where I tend to use fuck as a comma. If you're not into that or weird shit in general, bitch, this is not the place for you. Feel free to exit out the video here. No harm, no foul. But I'll remember our time fondly. If you want to jump straight to the overall review of the products, I'll leave a time code down below. Feel free to jump ahead. Guys, just a heads up, next two videos I'm gonna have the same fucking look on. I don't care, I'm still sick. It's just terrible, but I'm so bored that I need to record videos, but I just don't have the energy to try to fool you, so oh well. I'm a real good YouTuber. I want to share with you actually a story that happened to me in the past, but I was reminded of it because I ran into the person in a Rite Aid when I went to go pick up my prescriptions. Long story short, when I got sick, I had to go get my prescriptions filled. And now, being that I moved to a new area, everything is different. I have a new pharmacy, I have a new McDonald's, like it's been kind of crazy. The pharmacy that I was going to go to, I've never been there before, but they can't give you paper prescriptions anymore. So they have to like send it somewhere in order to get something filled. They chose this Rite Aid because they're like, oh, where do you want to go? And I'm like, I have no idea where the fuck I live. Lo and behold, I was totally fine because it was a very nice Rite Aid and probably the nicest Rite Aid I've ever been in. So kudos to that. In any case, I was in the pharmacy section and something just happens to catch my attention. So I look over to my left and I notice there's a woman by the greeting card section and she's just kind of like thumbing through greeting cards. And I'm like, why does she look familiar? When I realized who the person was. And it was a person that I used to work with. So for the story, let's call her Phyllis. Phyllis has to be one of the most annoying people I've ever met in my entire fucking life. You have that one person that always just asks why. Like you're like, oh hey, when you notice that the copy paper is low, do you mind actually refilling the machine?
Why?
Hey, I was thinking about taking lunch, do you mind covering me?
Why?
Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you not clip your nails by your desk?
Why?
And that's actually very much of a true story too. That bitch would clip her nails constantly. And then all these memories started flooding into my brain. Things that I've been trying to block out for the last few years. So let me tell you one of them because it's pretty fucking disgusting. So there was one summer back in, I wanna say maybe 2013 or 2014. For 3 weeks straight, Phyllis brought her lunch into work, right? Which is not a big deal, especially working in Manhattan. Things are expensive, it makes sense. Phyllis's lunch consisted of one fish, you heard me right, one fish. And I'm not talking about like the Gordon's Fisherman, I'm not talking about, you know, like little frozen fish sticks and shit like that. No, I'm talking about a fucking fish. Literally a fucking fish. Like the head and the tail curled up in her little Tupperware container. She used to eat that and one bag of microwave popcorn. Sometimes, usually on Thursdays, I guess she was feeling a little bit spicy, she would pour the popcorn on top of the fish and then eat it with her hands. In the office that we used to be in, it was, you know, like pretty much probably about 7 or so desks, and then we had like a mini fridge and a microwave. After the second day of her microwaving her fish, the rest of the people in my office deemed that microwave haunted, so we would never touch it again. And so for the next 3 weeks that summer, we watched her eat microwave fish and popcorn. Of course, there were passive-aggressive emails that went out that asked people to be considerate about, you know, what they're eating for lunch. Phyllis didn't give a shit, though. She didn't. When I saw her in that Rite Aid, everything came flooding back, and it unlocked a lot of memories that I've been trying to hide. So, if you're interested in hearing more Phyllis stories, which, if you think that's gross, bitch, I got grosser, let me know down below. I would love to share them with you. Do you guys have a Phyllis in your office? And if so, my condolences. Anybody who microwaves fish in an office deserves to be marooned on a fucking island to die alone. On today's video, we're going to be talking about some products from Beauty Bakerie, which I'm really excited about because this is kind of the first time I'm trying stuff from them. These are the two new things that have come out, which is the Instabake Foundation and Concealer. And then we're also going to be talking about the Milk and Honey palette, which is something that I picked up during an Ulta sale, I want to say a couple of weeks ago. So with that said, let me tell you a little bit about the products first. Instabake Aqua Glass Foundation retails for $34. Inspired by the elegance and minimalistic approach to beauty that Japan is known for, Beauty Bakerie's lightweight vegan Instabake Aqua Glass Foundation is a force to be reckoned with. Rightfully named Instabake, this full coverage formula effortlessly covers anything left in its wake. Delivering extraordinary performance, it applies smoothly like a layer of frosting. This foundation's interesting. So for $34, what exactly do you get? Okay, so the packaging is kind of cute because I really like the pump component of it, but the rest of it is just plastic, and I hate it, especially for $34. Like, it should be glass, especially when you're having drugstore packaging that is literally $15 or $12 or $10 that has glass packaging. Like, why can't this have glass packaging? So that kind of sucks. Whatever, it is what it is. Pump wise, it's really cool. You get about 0.9 fluid ounces in this guy, so it's a little shy of 1 ounce, which, you know, kind of sucks, especially for that price point. Like Fenty, for example, I think that's around $34 or $35. That gives you 1 fluid ounce, so that kind of sucks. There's about 27 shades in this range. Not the best or not the worst, but could be better. I did purchase these 2 items actually with all of my Ulta points, so I only spent $4 on these things. Pretty fucking impressive, right? So let's hope that this works, because otherwise I just wasted $50. Probably the biggest thing that I love about this foundation is that it doesn't settle into my lines at all. I'm gonna repeat that because I feel like it bears repeating. This does not settle into my fine lines at all. Whether I'm wearing it for 10 minutes or 12 hours, it doesn't settle into my lines. That's fantastic. And out of all the hydrating foundations that I've been trying lately, all of them pretty much settle immediately into my lines. This one does not. So whatever formula is in this needs to get into the other fucking foundations formulas, because this is genius. That's probably the most awesome thing about this foundation. Now, with that said, some things I'm not a huge fan about, but before I jump into that, let me kind of tell you a little bit more about like the texture of this guy. So this is a gel formula, and it actually comes out almost very runny. If you notice over here, it's a very, very thin formula. It's not heavy. It actually feels very, very lightweight on my skin, which is really nice. It almost feels like nothing actually. And that is awesome. The thing that sucks about it is that the shade ranges are a little bit off. On the Beauty Bakery website, you're able to use their shade finder, and I found that I don't think their shade finder was really a big help for me. So even though I plugged in several different foundations that I've been using, the thing that it kept telling me that I should go for is 351N. But as you can see, 351N, I don't know, kind of looks really, really fucking yellow, especially for a neutral foundation. And it also kind of looks a little too dark for me, which really sucks. However, applying it to my face, I think it looks actually pretty nice, but just like upon initial use, I was a little like, fuck, did I get the right shade? Because this doesn't look like me. It looks like I have jaundice. I hate when neutral foundations are a little bit more yellow. I wish those foundations were just straight up like a normal neutral tone. And I know you're probably saying, well, why wouldn't you go with cool? There's not a lot of true cool blue tone foundations that make me look like a dead girl. If anything, it just makes me look like Porky Pig, and I ain't about that life. I'm trying to find more blue tone based stuff, which is very difficult to find. So I have to struggle and get neutral foundations. Whatever. Oh, woe is me. I'll stop crying. The other thing that I really like about this foundation is that for the most part, it's self-setting. So I don't really need to put a lot of powder on my face to actually set everything down. However, there is a slight bit of transfer. So just kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to overly bake your face. But for the most part, I didn't notice any sort of issues of like, say, applying foundation, applying concealer, and not putting on powder right away. This is technically supposed to be a hydrating foundation. However, I don't feel that it really is hydrating. If anything, it's more of like a natural skin finish, kind of very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury foundation in that sense. It just looks like your skin, but better. I do consider this foundation probably more of the medium to full coverage. I'm pretty sure it could be full coverage if I used a brush. I used a dampened sponge, and I felt that I was getting like high medium coverage, which I think is fantastic. And so here's the thing that I hate about this foundation is that I feel like by the hour 7, it starts to like just break down on my face, and it's so infuriating. Up until that point, the foundation's perfect. It looks so fucking good. So fucking good. But then when it hits hour 7, it just starts to disintegrate. And it's not in a very like natural or flattering way, especially on me. I kind of notice like around my double chin area, huge holes missing over here. And when there is some foundation, it's kind of like hanging onto like some weird dry patches, which is fucking strange. So I just don't think the shelf life on this guy lasts for more than 7 hours. It just sucks because like the foundation seemed very, very promising. Once you kind of hit that 8-hour mark, it kind of goes to shit. But I guess you kind of have to ask yourself, are you somebody that just wears the foundation up to 8 hours, or if you wear your foundation more than 8 hours? Because if it's more than 8 hours and you have a similar skin type to what I have, then this might not be for you. But if you wear this less than 8 hours, then you probably are not going to have a problem with it. So yeah, it kind of sucks. Like I wanted to like it a little bit more, especially considering it does not settle into my fine lines, which is fucking absurd. I love that about this foundation. You can see in this area it's starting to experience a little bit of dryness over here. A little bit around my nose. But I am missing quite a bit of foundation right over here. But I will note that this part of my skin still looks really, really good, and it doesn't enhance any sort of weird texture or anything like that. All right, so with that said, like I'm kind of on the fence about this foundation because I want to like it more, considering that it does mark off things on my list of like not settling into fine lines, being a natural skin finish, being very lightweight, gel-like. Like I love all those things about this foundation. I just hate that it kind of falls to shit right around this area. Instabake 3-in-1 Concealer retails for $20. The Italian approach to beauty emphasizes no stress as a key to flawless complexion. Beauty Bakerie's Instabake Concealer not only applies and blends effortlessly, but the finish it leaves behind is one of effortless beauty. Perfect to hide dark circles and scarring, Beauty Bakerie Instabake 3-in-1 Concealer does the work for your favorite skin smoothing apps. Fortified with water-binding cassava, this under-eye area will be smooth, soothed, and hydrated. Relax and allow La Dolce Vita, or the sweet life, in a bottle to work for you. This guy retails for about $20. It comes in 18 shades and you get 0.14 ounces in this. Pretty much matches its sister component of the foundation, and it's really adorable. Here are the things that I don't like in this, before I get into the quality of this guy, is that I don't like the doe foot. The doe foot on this guy is kind of like this very weird tip thingy. My issue is that this is not very soft. It's actually quite hard. Almost kind of feels a little bit rough when you're putting it near your under eye, which is kind of unfortunate. However, my biggest complaint on it is that I don't understand how I got that shade. So when I purchased this through Ulta, I actually referred a lot to the Beauty Bakerie website to kind of try to figure out my shade range. When it suggested that I was 351N, it said that my perfect concealer was this one, which is number 14, I Choose Me. And it's not. It's actually darker than the fucking foundation. So that's kind of annoying. So let me just zoom you in there. That is the concealer. This is what the foundation looks like on my hand dried. Gonna kind of throw that back up there. It's like two completely different tones. This is almost like a really true neutral, and then this is like super fucking yellow. And I just don't understand how these are supposed to be a match for each other. Like, what the fuck? I wish I got a foundation in that color. That would have been amazing. So I don't really understand how these two are supposed to be linked together. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. The first thing I will note is that this concealer is on more of the thicker side. So comparing it to the foundation, while it's a little bit more watery and like a gel-like finish, this is definitely a thick bitch. And it also dries down really fast, and it settles into my fine lines like a motherfucker. Notice the settling actually happens rather quickly. When I first applied it, it looked great, but within 10 minutes, I had to keep patting it out with my finger to try to break up that very deep line. It also dries out my under eyes too, which is insane. And the fact that this is self-setting, I have used it with some setting powder and without setting powder. And the only setting powder that I actually use underneath my eyes that usually kind of avoids a lot of creasing is like an Hourglass powder. But as you can see, this bitch is here to stay. I kind of wish that both of these formulas had the same formula. It just shows you how like hydrating that foundation is compared to this concealer. That sucks. Milk and Honey Highlighting Palette retails for $38. Beauty Bakerie's Milk and Honey Highlighting Palette, so creamy you don't need butter. You'll be all the sugar after you milk that glow with our silky smooth Milk and Honey highlighters. Grab your bakeware and strobe, mix or layer in abundance. This retails for about $38, but I picked it up when it was about $19 or $20, which I think is a perfect price point for this highlighting palette. So when you open this little palette up, packaging wise, super fucking adorable. I really love that it's kind of like this little honeycomb shape. I definitely love that they have like a little embossing in the pan over here. For me, I'm able to use, I would say, 3 of the shades. The queen being is the one that's a little bit too dark for me, but that's completely fine. So for today's look, I actually just used the shade Spoiler Alert, but the 2 shades that I've kind of been primarily using in this palette is Spoiler Alert and Be Sweet. What I like about these highlighters is that they're very light-weight. They're very pretty. They have a beautiful shine to them. They're not overly glittery. There is a little bit of powderiness to them, but it's not like, say, you know, Makeup Revolution, where it's just like straight up powder. I would say that the white one is probably like my favorite because it's like the most blinding, obviously. I mean, look at this bitch right here. I actually like the gold and pink because they're a little bit more on the subtle side. This obviously a little bit too dark for me. Overall, I have to say that I'm really happy with this quality. I think it's really pretty. Also sits beautifully on my skin. Doesn't give me any sort of weird texture, doesn't dry out my skin, it doesn't do any of those things. It's really lovely. I think it's totally worth the money if it's half off. And so while I really do enjoy this palette, the only thing my criticism would be is that you kind of have to build it up a little bit in order to kind of get this like alien glow slut vibe here, which, I mean, once you do get it,
bitch, like literally you're blowing everybody and it's amazing.
It's just, it takes a little bit to get there. But overall though, I'm very happy with this. I'm happy that I purchased it, happy to have it in my collection. I just don't think it's worth it at full price. So now with that said, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about these products? Are you going to be picking them up? Do you have them? Do you care? Blah, blah, blah. Let me know because I love hearing from you guys. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, hit that subscribe button. It's fucking free. And hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Discord. On Thursdays, we have a podcast called The Miserable Three. And sometimes I'm on my husband's Twitch channel where I just yell about things on the internet. All those links will be listed down below. And I'll see you little pumpkins later. Bye.